Cindy Brown is in the midst of building her latest company, slated to open this coming June. It will be Boston's first ice bar called Frost, located in Quincy Market. Our first two guests discuss the pros and cons of using written business plans. As Cindy is still in the pre-launch planning stage, let's find out from her which approach she's using. Cindy, welcome and thank you for joining us in the Language of Business.
Thanks for having me.
So what is the Frost Ice Bar? Could you tell us a little bit about the concept?
Sure, it's interesting. A lot of people don't know the concept, so it's been an education in explaining what it actually is. But it's a year-round ice bar where you pay an admission fee, you get gloves and a cape, you go through a little transition room where we take down your body temperature, and then the doors open and you're in a beautiful ice castle where the walls, the furniture, the bar, and even the glass with your drink is made of ice, with great lighting and music and sculptures and etchings. It's really a neat experience.
Now, how did you decide that this is going to work in Boston? Because I know from my research, these are literally all over the world.
They are. They're mostly in Europe and Canada, and not so much in the U.S. yet. But my previous job at Boston Duck Tours led me to a lot of discussion and a lot of inside information on what the market will take, what the market wants, what the market needs. And once we started talking about Frost Ice Bar and knowing what we know from Boston Duck Tours, we thought it was a great product, and Boston needed something new and fun. And, you know, the alcohol kind of brings a new market into that, 20 to 40-year-old that is really looking for something to do that's fun.
Now, you mentioned that Boston Duck was your former job. Is there going to be any connection between Boston Duck and Frost?
Yeah, actually, I shouldn't have said former. It's still my job as well. I'll be CEO of both companies. Duck Tours has been around for 19 years, so that's really much farther in the process. But I'll be doing a lot of the startup, and Boston Duck Tours is actually an investor in Frost Ice Bar. So there's a lot of synergies financially as well as marketing, IT, sales. There's going to be a lot of overlap with respect to how the businesses operate.
So is it going to be a cross-licensing approach in the sense you're going to give plugs for Boston Duck at the ice bar, and then you're going to give plugs for the ice bar during Boston Duck Tours?
There might be a sculpture or two of a duck boat in the ice bar, and there'll certainly be a mention when we go by, but there are a lot of synergies, so it makes sense to put them together and take the strengths of each product with the others.
Is there going to be anything different about the Frost Ice Bar concept in Boston that there would be all over the world?
We believe it's going to be the largest in the world, which is interesting because you don't need a lot of space.
Largest in terms of customer counts or largest in terms of square footage, or both?
Square footage and hopefully customer counts. That will come once we open and we prove through, but it's about 1,600 square feet, so it's rather large compared to other ones that are, again, primarily in Canada and Europe.
So the focus of this segment is on the business planning process. Obviously, you're in the midst of planning right now. Help us to understand, and our viewers to understand, how do you communicate with your management team on a regular basis? Is it in person? Is it over the phone? Is it via email, or some combination of the three?
It's every single thing, and probably more. I think we talk in dreams sometimes because we'll wake up the next morning with similar ideas. But
right.
It's weekly conference calls, it's bi-weekly meetings, and then subcategories of our team will meet on particular objects. So if someone's talking about finance, I'm not in that. The finance team will meet. I'll work with operations or marketing, and it gives everyone an opportunity to meet with people that are on their little sub-team, but it doesn't take the time of everyone's other time, because otherwise we'd be in meetings all day trying to get every single thing covered with every member of the team. So
in the media recently, there's been a discussion and a debate of not allowing the people to work remotely. Is that there's something to be said for face-to-face communication, etc. How does that factor into your planning right now?
It has to be remote at this point. We have a lot of different team members that have full-time jobs, so they're doing that during the day. A lot of our meetings are 6 to 9 at night. There are conference calls at 7 o'clock at night, and then what we need to do during the business day, we leave our current jobs and go and do that in person. But it really has to happen remotely at this point, because for a long time we didn't even have the space, so everything was on the phone and via email. It's been critical.
Now, you said strategically one is going to be an extension of the other, and you're going to use it for cross-marketing purposes. Are people's jobs going to be an extension of each other the same way that you're going to be the general manager of both?
There are a few crossover employees. We've got our marketing director, Boston Duck Tours, is helping with the marketing. Our IT person's helping with IT. But for the most part, we're keeping it very separate. There are some synergies as far as the quality of person that we want and the feel of that person. But in the end, I think it'll be totally separate employees, aside from the upper level management, where we really don't have a budget for a full-time marketing director at this point.
Prevailing wisdom indicates that whom you raise money from is more important than the funds themselves. Are any of the investors the same? Are you trying to tap into their knowledge base as well?
Actually, we do have a lot of overlap on the investors, both within Boston Duck Tours and outside ones. But it really does help because we've learned a lot from them, and they have a level of confidence from their experience with Boston Duck Tours. So it was an easy ask, as easy as an ask can be. I mean, not easy, but we had a proven track record from Boston Duck Tours. So when we approached investors, they said, well, you've done a great job with this investment. I'm willing to take the rest on that one.
It makes perfect sense. You're watching The Language of Business. I'm Greg Stoller. We're talking with Cindy Brown, who's about to open Boston's first ice bar called Frost in Quincy Market later this summer. Even in the planning stages, she is a big supporter of using written business plans. So help us understand where you are in the planning stage vis-a-vis written business plans.
Well, the business plan that we started with was very general, and what we found is a lot of it was concrete and able to transfer to actually opening the business. In other areas, we found didn't necessarily have the same translation, whether it was the actual location, the actual size, the number of dollars we had to raise. So some of it really was a great place to start, but we found once we get into it, there are a lot more issues that arise that you didn't think of early on, or you didn't have the resources to determine.
And this is exactly what I'd love to discuss a little bit more in depth. What have you done with the existing written business plan? Have you revised it in written form? Have you then taken the marketing portion and given it to the marketing people, and now they've written a full marketing plan? Help us understand, and our viewers to understand, how you're proceeding in terms of the strategic planning vis-a-vis the written word.
Well, we started with the written piece, and actually we used that in our offering memorandum, which really is kind of our new business plan. So we took that and put it into a form that the investors can look at before they decided to put their money in. And at that point, it really has stopped there. We go back to refer at certain areas to say, what were we thinking back then years ago, because it's been years since we started, and see what the thought process was then, and then now we kind of change it to what's going on within the actual property and with the actual people that we've hired. So at this point, it ended at the offering memorandum, but again, it's still a really valuable tool that we go back and check many times.
And how do you process, if you will, in terms of strategy, changes in the competition, exogenous market forces, what's happening in the local economy, the statewide economy, et cetera? Does that factor into your calculus at all?
It does, and you know, we've played with our numbers of projections of guests based upon what the location was we finally ended up with, what the feel is in the tourism industry, and luckily with Boston Duck Tours experience, we can feed through and say, this is how we're doing in our business, this should translate over. So knowing the industry and being a player in the Boston hospitality industry is really important, because I know what conventions are coming up, I know what things are coming on the horizon with tourism marketing, and it really gives me more confidence in our product more than anything else.
And talk to us about what you think is happening in terms of staffing levels. Do you think that your value proposition outside of the location and outside of the wow, concept is going to be the quality of your employees, or the quality of the value proposition to the customer? The analog being that Boston Duck is so unique because each of your duck boat captains has a different personality, and they're able to really make the customers feel like they're getting a one-off experience. Is that going to be the same with Frost Ice Bar?
It really should be. And the interesting thing about tourism is there's no huge skill required. You're selling a ticket, you're welcoming a guest. So we really hire people based upon personality, outgoing, fun, happy people that like to talk to other people. The rest of the stuff we can train. So what we do with both Duck Tours and what we'll do with Frost is look for people that have the personality that will welcome people into their home, their workplace, and give them a great experience that they'll hopefully talk about for years to come. And that's been the experience at Duck Tours, and we hope to follow that through with Frost.
And focusing still on the planning side of things, is there anything that's keeping you or your investors or management team up at night about this?
Yeah, on any given day, someone's probably up at night. A lot of it is finance. Will we have enough money?
And this isn't because you're doing business internationally.
Yeah. Will the money be there? And what decisions do we need to make that need to get us open the first day versus it would be great to have an employee manual day one, but do we really need it?
Right.
Probably not. That could come 3 months into it. So what are the factors we need? We need tickets, we need capes, we need ice, and we need alcohol. Really, that's kind of it, and staff, obviously. But some of the stuff that we really were stressing about, we realized if it's not there day one, no one's going to know, and it's really not going to hurt the product.
And are your investors giving you enough leeway to do what you guys need to do in the pre-planning stages? Or are they asking for either written or electronic updates in terms of the sources and uses of cash, how that cash has been used, or where you are in terms of implementing the strategy?
Luckily, our investors are very friendly, and they have not really asked for much. We talk to them socially more so than written updates. We do written updates every couple of months, but more so when you see someone, you tell them what's going on. I think they're completely confident in the product, and they've been very accommodating for what we need to do throughout the whole process.
Excellent. Thank you, Cindy. That was terrific, and we sincerely wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Today's three guests spoke about the pros and cons of using written business plans. In our next broadcast on The Language of Business, we'll begin going through the business plan section by section, starting with the industry and competitive analysis. We'll discuss the nuts and bolts of the business planning process by featuring guests on different sides of each issue. I'm Greg Stoller, and once again, thanks for watching.